Yes, I want to talk about skill versus hunger when you're trying to go and reach six figures in your accounting or bookkeeping business. So the main thing is going to be really understanding which stage of the process of growth of your business you're in. Now, a lot of people don't really understand exactly what stage they're in, so it causes them to act and move in their business in a manner that does not really grow to the point to what they want. So, for example, when I was first getting started, how many people are, I thought that, you speak to one person and then you get like a client, right? So it's like every single time that I spoke to someone that didn't want to sign up with me, I took it as like a very, very kind of like damaging blow to my ego, to my personality, to everything, right? It was just like, it was so like crushing. But as I've seen like more and more business owners that are just more and more experienced, it just looks actually like, for example, for myself, I generally face the reason why I make way more money than most people watching this video, at least in my business, right, is because I go and I just get the number of rejection you take in a year, I take that in about 3 to 5 days, right? With the number of people who we book a call with, the number of people we speak to, the number of people we have like in our social media profiles, the number of people who our ads are being seen, right? So our ads are being shown to, I have an ad that has about, it's been about a month old. It has 57,000 people have seen it, right? And for example, it's an ad that gets people to like follow me on Instagram. So 57,000 people have seen it. It only brought in probably about, I like to say about 1,000 people. So it's like 1 out of 57 people actually say yes. That means the 56 other people that ignored it have rejected us, right? So it's not the same as like being rejected on a consultation call. I understand that. But what I am saying is rejection, 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 rejection. You need to be able to increase the number of people who are rejecting you at any given time in order for you to grow your business. Now, that does come down to hunger. So, one exercise I always have, like whenever a newer student comes inside like my mentorship program, I actually pull open one of my more established students' tracking sheets. So, like inside of the mentorship program, we give every student like a tracking sheet. You can track all of your consultation calls. You can track all of your marketing, all of your referral partnerships in one centralized location. So anytime that you say, "Hey, Bryce, I need to grow faster," or maybe something's not working the way I thought, or like what's up, or they just want like some feedback, I just say, hey, "Show me the document, show me the spreadsheet." They show it to me, and I can go and pinpoint very quickly. Like, where is the bottleneck? Do you just need more leads? Do you need to go talk to more people? Do you need to go find better quality people? Are you finding the right quality people, but they're just not closing with you? And then you need to go do X, Y, Z, right? So it's just like a really good kind of metric and a graph for someone who's more experienced than you to be able to look at what you're doing in your business and tell you how to go and make which levers to pull in order to make sure that you're getting better results and you're getting faster results. Now, I always have the students actually go look at like an older, more established student, for example, like Audrey. So she's at about $20,000 per month in revenue for her business. Now, some people think, man, she must be doing like a killing, like she must close every single person she speaks to. No, she actually has about, I think it was about 160 to about 200 people who have previously said they were looking for a quote and they said, no, not right now. Now, she does have a wait list as well. So she does have a whole bunch of people who are kind of like waiting in the wings who she's already signed a contract with. But the level of people who she needs to speak to in order to kind of get to that thing, and yeah, she's been in business for, 2, 3 years at this point, right? So it wasn't all like all in one day, but if you're trying to get to like, 20 grand, 25 grand, 30 grand a month, the number of people you need to speak to and give a quote to just goes up drastically, right? So that's about hunger. Now, there will come a point to when you're about like at 5,000, $7,000 per month where you will start needing to switch and like flip over to being more skilled. So a good example of this, and even like the hunger point before we move on, is one of my students named Hillary. So when she first joined the program, I told her to do this type of campaign. I gave her like a template to use and like put in like this one location on like LinkedIn. She started doing it to a different place. Like she started emailing people that same template, and she ended up getting like two clients. The first one paid her like I think $1,700 a month. The second client ended up paying her I think it was like $2,300 a month, right? But it was like off a thing, and she actually interpreted incorrectly. She was just hungry. She just wanted to take that one template I gave her, and she wanted to send it to a million gazillion just people, right? So she could get her name out there as fast as possible. Now, I don't say like you have to go take the shotgun approach. I'm not saying that, but in this case, she was so hungry that she took the thing that works, and she just had so much belief in it that she actually went and got the results with it. And it's just like that hunger level is the thing that's missing for most people, and that's why like I don't know if I should say that. Some people ask me, like, why would I pay money for a mentorship program when I could just go learn this stuff myself? It's like I can't tell you the number of people who have had the same information I've had, and they've like watched more YouTube videos and know more stuff about business than I do, but don't make any money. The reason why is because they have no skin in the game. Like there's just like one day they can wake up, oh, I feel like doing business. Oh, I don't feel like doing business. Oh, and like the fear kind of kicks in and takes over. They don't have to actually be held accountable, and they just don't grow their business, right? So this one secret is like when the students in the mentorship program pay the money, now they have this fire under their butt, and they're just like, hey, I gotta go attack. I gotta go attack. I gotta go attack. How do I go get? I gotta go attack. And right, they just go on this like hunger, just the hunger like marathon, and they're just able to go and just kill it so much faster than what everybody else is. That's the main reason. That's the thing that gets people to just move so quickly. And it's like that's the secret. So it's like, yeah, you don't have to do my mentorship program. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is like whether it's $1, whether it's $1 million, you have to have some sort of meaningful skin in the game that's gonna cause you to be able to go and just like hunt really fast. So one thing I did was like, and this is a very interesting thing. Sorry, I got a weird message from my CRM. But so like at first I was just investing a lot of money in courses, right? So like I would always invest in course. I would like put in $1, get like $7 back. Almost every dollar I put into a course, right? And I just kept reinvesting. Now there does come a point to where like buying a lot more courses or masterminds doesn't really have that big of effect. I mean, I've already spent probably about 235K on like mentorship and masterminds and like different like HR kind of programs and stuff, right? But it's like at this point in the business, like there's not that much stuff that we don't really know. At this moment in time, it's more about time and just like how much do I want to actually spend on ads versus how much do I want to grow versus like do I like my current lifestyle and things like that. So one way that I kind of do to go and stay hungry is that I just like try and put more and more in like either investment account or try and go and buy more real estate properties or try and buy, more like insurance policies, right? There's always something I'm putting my money in. So at the beginning of the month, I always feel like I'm not close to zero, but it's like I need to go and make money in order to keep, just staying alive and paying the team and just fueling it. So I'm playing like little games with myself to keep that hunger alive because one of the worst things is like when you have, your investment account, you have your 401k, you have your insurance, you might have some real estate policies or whatever, right? And your business is growing and you have like, an extra $100,000, $200,000 sitting in cash inside your bank account. The first time I had about $150,000 inside of my personal account, oh my gosh, you would have thought I was like 70 years old the way I retired. Like mentally, I checked out. Like I didn't. I was like, yep, I'm done. I don't care. Someone will pose an objection in the call. It's like, okay, whatever. Have a good life. And it's just I didn't even care, right? But my business ended up like kind of like going like at a downward trajectory for a little while. And yeah, maintained for a little while, but it's like the point to where I could have been now if I didn't take that like 6 months off is drastically different, right? So what I started doing, and like this is another mentor told me this. It was almost like a couple mentors. I had known this for a while, I'd forgotten about it until a mentor told me, "Hey, man, you need to kind of make that cash basically go down to zero. So just invest as many different places. Because number one, cash is always going down in value, right? So having a huge amount of cash just not really the best thing, depending on like um, your risk tolerance and just depending on your lifestyle. And maybe in the future, I'm going to start talking about like wealth and different things that I'm kind of learned and learning around that topic. Um, just different things that have kind of like worked for me and worked for some people I've helped. Now, I'm not like a financial advisor. Maybe I might go and like get a license in the future as I like master that stuff, right? Um, but long story short, it was basically like you got to make sure that you don't have that much cash sitting inside the bank because the more cash you have, and like when you start having, like 10 years, 20 years worth of expenses just kind of like paid for, it's just kind of like, what do you do? And you just kind of slow down. At least that's what it was for me. So really finding those little games that you can be hungry with, that's been like really just a game changer for me. Um, Next, you're going to start transitioning to skill. So skill is more of like when you've done enough calls to kind of feel like if this person puts this answer on my qualification survey once they book the call, they're probably not going to buy. If this person says this on the consultation call at minute like 15, they're probably not going to buy, right? And if I do say this at minute 15, unless I say X, Y, Z to kind of counteract that and make sure that I kind of resolve that different belief they have that's like kind of false, right? They're probably not going to buy. But if I can do it, then I will be able to go and convert a much higher percentage of the people that work with me, right? And once you start knowing those metrics, you're able to take a lot less volume and a lot less activity, and you just grow your business way faster. So a good example of this is one reason why we give all of our students in the mentorship program like a sales script so you can like be on consultation calls is because I've already thought about almost all the objections I've had to face, both on the accounting bookkeeping side, whether you're selling cleanup, whether you're selling monthly bookkeeping, whether you're selling like tax planning, whether you're selling like accounting setups, and even on like the mentorship side and more like the consulting side, where it's more of like tax strategy and things like that, right? We've already had all these objections, and like one day I just got tired of like having to face all those objections at the end of the call. So I basically like went and like worked with like these like really, really killer salespeople who are bringing in like $1 million a month in volume to like this other company. So I basically said, okay, so how are you guys doing that? Like how are your calls so short? Why do people want to work with you? Like what makes this thing kind of work so easily for you? And it came down to pre-handling objection. So there's basically a set of like 6 objections you're gonna get: time, money, partner. You're going to get value, which is similar to money, but it's slightly different. You're also going to get like smoke screens, right? So smoke screens are not really an objection, but it is something you need to handle, right? In order to go and get one of the other 4 objections that are going to be popping out at you. Now, once you're able to do that, then you kind of know what those buckets are because you just heard it so many times on these calls, right? Like at this stage of the game, I think I've done about I think it's like 2,200 consultation calls. I don't really take as much nowadays because I mean we only accept about 10 to 12 people a month into like the mentorship program. So it's just number one, I don't do those calls as much anymore. Like if it's like a certain case and the person's like has a very established business, then I'll do that call. But it's just kind of like at this stage of the game, working with clients and working with mentorship student participants and working with my existing accounting clients is more important than taking like sales calls, if that makes sense. Because just like the better I do with my existing clients, the easier sales calls are in the future, the easier everything is, right? Because a lot of my content I make is based off of like what's either going on in my life or what's going on like my mentorship participants' lives. So all that to say is I started saying, okay, so I know that this person says that they're going out of town in 2 weeks, right? That's going to come at the end of the consultation call when they try and use that to say why they can't get started right now. If it's they have like a board of directors, if they're like a nonprofit, right? That's gonna be something that we have to like kind of deal with, right? You might have to schedule a follow-up call, or you might have to schedule a follow-up call before you ever do your price drop, right? Because then you know that they're going to inevitably have to talk to the board, or you can even do an objection handling reframe where you basically ask if they can actually make decisions without going to the board first, right? In some cases they might say yes, and you can take the call to the end. If they say no, you might have to do some counteractive measures. You might have to go and say, okay, so what will you do if the board says no? What will you do if the board says yes? You just kind of like really get to understand that. And like I have a lot of different videos on this channel to talk about like how to do objection handling for different types of services you're selling, whether it's payroll, whether it's QuickBooks training, whether it's tax planning, whether it's monthly bookkeeping, whether it's a cleanup, right? So you don't really have to worry about those objections when you face them. Um, but that's where the skill comes in because you don't have to do as much work, right? Even like for example, I told you Audrey has about 200 people that are following up with her. The skill set in that is knowing how to follow up with them without being pushy, without being judgy. So you have a certain percentage that sign up with you every other like 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. And you kind of know your numbers off the top of your head, and you just kind of know like, okay, so I know that if I talk to this person, I have to send them 6 more messages over the span of the next like 3 weeks, the span of the next month, or a span of XYZ time, and that person's going to want to get started right away, right? And then once you know that number, you don't have to be running around frantically like a chicken with its head cut off. Um, and yeah, that's when you start getting like more skill sets. So for example, like Lori, like one of our students' name is Lori. She went from about I think she had one client for like $300 a month. I'm not laughing at her, but I'm just saying just how far she came. And then it took her about 60 days to get to about $8,600 per month. By about 90 days, she was already about like I think like 11,000. It was either like 10,700 or like 11,100 if my memory serves me correct. But that came from learning how to do her consultation call because she'd always be in front of like business owners, but they would either say like no or they like say like I need to think about it, and she just didn't really have a good way to properly do her consultation calls to prevent a lot of those like challenges from coming up. So we just gave her a better script, right? So like walked her through how to actually go talk to the people a little bit better. It walked through how to go and get better quality authority. So that when you try and do your objection handling, it makes it so much easier for them to listen to you, trust you, and then go with what you're saying for them to do. And that's really the secret to really doing consultation calls correct. Just having a plan of action, knowing exactly what you're going to go, and being able to tell the future. So being able to know exactly what they're going to say before they say it, so you can actually steer the conversation in the correct direction, so they never actually end up saying that. Right? You essentially change the future by knowing stuff from the past. Crazy, man. But yeah, hopefully learn something new. If you want some help growing your business, maybe you've been watching my videos for a little bit of time, maybe you've been watching for a couple days, right? Doesn't matter. The amount of time you spend watching someone does not really negate the fact of whether or not it's the right thing for you. That's a common fallacy I see. Some people are like, well, I just met you on the internet yesterday. It's like, okay, what does it matter whether you met me a year ago, today, tomorrow? It doesn't matter. If this is a thing that's right for you, pull the trigger. If it's not the thing that's right for you, doesn't matter if it's 1 year. Just don't pull the trigger. Like you got to, if you're going to be growing in your business, you have to be very, very, very decisive. It's either a yes or it's no. It can't be a maybe, because a maybe is the thing that causes people to stay in their job for the next like 20 years. I can't tell you the number of people who come on my consultation call for the mentorship program who are like, getting close to retirement age. And it's like, well, I thought about starting a business, 15 years ago, but, I just didn't really know, or I let fear kind of get the better of me. And it's like, well, now I'm getting close to retirement, but I don't quite have enough to retire comfortably. So I need to get something started. It's like, nothing wrong if you are in that position, but it's like, if you're younger, like some people would kill to have the amount of time and the amount of like risk tolerance that you have if you're younger, and for you to kind of squander that is really a slap in the face to your future self. So if you want to avoid that, if you want to make sure that you go and get this, and this dream doesn't just stay a dream, it becomes a reality, it becomes something you actually get, go ahead and click on the link inside the description below to book a call with me to see if I can help you. Now, you're either going to speak with myself or my team to see if it's a good fit to work together. If it's not, we're going to be the first to tell you, because like we have like a really, really high success rate. And the reason why it's so high is because we just kick out people who are like not really a good fit. We just kind of like let you know, like, hey, I think this might be a better alternative for you, or this is a better plan for you to go take, but like this mentorship program is like might not be for you at this very moment in time. And then some people, they like have to go and like meet some certain qualification. They have to go build a better foundation using some of the free resources we give you on the call. But then they come back 6 months or a year later, and they're in a better spot. And then that's when they're able to go and grow so much faster. So regardless if we work together, this call will probably be the best 45 minutes that you're going to be spending all year on your business. So if you want some help, you want to go and get a customized plan for yourself, to see if we can help you. And if it makes sense, we'll even execute it with you. Go ahead and click on the link inside the description below. Book a call with myself and my team. I'd love to talk to you. I'll see you soon. Have a good rest of your day. Take it easy.